Please welcome and put your hands together for Rajit.
Good afternoon. I have the enviable task of standing between you and lunch, so I'll try to create some light energy and make it interactive. So since the morning we've heard several concepts to do with how to create bliss, Mehta medicine, integrated medicine, balancing your chakras and energies. And as convention is, after a week, after 2 weeks, 3 weeks, several months, you forget most of these. So I'm not a doctor or healer, so I'm going to offer you a very simple, mundane corporate tool to at least start taking some baby steps to make things effective. So over the years, we've learned these 7 steps to create bliss. So I'm just offering to you to consider. So you've heard since morning several nuggets of wisdom. This is what is called information, or jankari in Hindi, information. Then you start processing some of the information in your head and you go and do some research, and that becomes knowledge. So jankari becomes gyankari, as they call in Hindi. Part of it resonates with you and you start implementing and have a discipline. So gyankari then becomes amalkari, so you start implementing. So jankari, gyankari, then amalkari. Once you start implementing, you see some benefits, becomes effective, asarkari. You get some benefits, becomes hitkari. So jankari, gyankari, amalkari, asarkari, hitkari. And if you do it again and again, it's called barambari or reckoning, and then you reach anandkari or bliss. So 7 simple steps of corporate work to reach bliss. Right? One of the hallmarks of a good community, and we are a community, is to be very open and transparent and take on board all perspectives as we go along. There are some dilemmas that we've been pondering over in the last few months, and I want to offer it to the community just to seek your feedback so we're able to chart our way forward. So I'm going to pose some questions to all of you, and through a show of hands, take a yay or a nay as you move forward, and if time permits, take a few perspectives as well. The first one is the internal debate that corporate or enterprise world has had, over many, many years. Very small, beautiful, or should we really proliferate and become big to have critical mass? Now both have their benefits. Each time you make a choice, you also make a compromise because you give up something else. So the first question of the community is, should we restrict the membership of this community to about 750 or 1,000 people so that we're able to focus, have no dilution, the values and the systems take root before the tree starts spreading? The other option is no, don't restrict, let it proliferate and therefore become a big community and a big movement as time goes along. So those for saying keep it small, 750,000 members to start with, please raise your hands. Okay. The rest of you feel it should be a little more widespread. Yeah, Rajesh.
I have a question to which you can answer.
Yeah.
You have given us a trade-off, real trade-off. Broadly we understand quality trade-off, but in this particular case, what would be the issue?
So let's say this movement will take time to root, to understand. There are various perspectives to be able to integrate, the alternate medicine to healing, to spirituality to come together, and to have like-minded people rather than cryptics will take a long time. As you can see from the first event that we had, where we had 30, 40, 50 people, today also we have about 55, 60, right? So should we do it deliberately, and therefore the other aspect, Rajesh, would be to be able to credential people to join the community as healers or as alternate people. We have to set up a process for that. Because the one promise we have made to the community is will give you access to people who are credentialed. So keeping that in mind, you could say for a while keep it restricted. That would be one perspective. So now how many for a small is beautiful? Okay. My one question to others who feel we should proliferate. Could you share your perspective on it, for example?
Internet gave the swarm feedback. Different angle to the question you're asking.
Yeah.
There's a lot of overcrowding in terms of people talking about wellness, lifestyle improvement, healing, spirituality, meditation, pranayama. Lots of saints, lots of sages now occupy this space and have institutions on on which they have built credible platforms, they have a lot of followership, and so on and so forth. My thought that I have expressed in this note here is that I think we need a platform. It will take a very long time for well-meaning people like Tony, yourself, and a few others to create an impact. So we need a platform. The next question is likely to be, what do you mean by a platform? I mean some sort of an institution. It could be a spiritual institution, it could be a healthcare institution, it could be an institution that has a lot of attention because of its position in media. Keep the politicians out for sure. So when you have the small is beautiful or large is beautiful, keep the politicians out. You need a platform. And the reason I didn't vote for small is beautiful, whilst I believe in that way of thinking, is that you need critical mass. You know, you're talking about speakers coming from the United States, from Japan, from Germany, a lot of luminaries from within the country. There's no point limiting the benefit to a small number of people. So when you have something to deliver and have something to share it with more. And the more you get, the more powerful you get. Powerful not in terms of powerful, but the more meaningful you get. And one thing leads to another. Baat se baat nikalti hai, you get more people, rub shoulders with better people and so on. So a larger audience, a larger panel, a larger set of speakers really can only be justified practically if you have a larger base. You know. So I'm saying that none of us are in our 30s. So we have a few years to make the impact, which is why I said you need an institution. And there's overcrowding. A lot of people talking the same stuff. You go on Asta channel, you buy books, you read books, everybody's saying the same thing, etc., etc. So for the sake of the differentiation, for the sake of making an impact, I think you need size, and I think you need a platform of an institution to build TQIW. I have one of the suggestions which I don't have the liberty of the sponsors of these institutions to make their name specific. I can certainly talk to Tony and you about it. Sure. But I think you need a platform. Otherwise, in our little affinity to each other, we shouldn't just get lost by being 1,500 people. It's not. You're going to run out of steam.
Got it. Understood. Noted. Thank you. Yeah, Gauri.
I didn't quite actually get the question, small or big, because in movements such as this, which are really, what I call them, such movements are really based on what I call the consciousness energy. Okay, we all talk about the consciousness, the fact that the cell itself is to really recognize as consciousness. And to define it as, and to predetermine what can happen from this in itself for me, annihilation, because there is value in it. And as Anjaji's mentioned, that if we can build a platform of value where people are benefiting each other and benefiting the outside world, I'm sure this can grow, infinitely on its own. I think all movements or institutions, or organizations in the spiritual, semi-spiritual, healing spaces have grown on their own energy. They have never been, I don't think there has been a vision or limiting vision which we can really draw today. So I think if whatever we are today, can create a platform which is meaningful, valuable, and even that can be redefined or constantly reviewed by the people who are part of it. It will build an energy of its own, and something like this is of value for the whole world. So why should we not reach the limits, the limitless limits?
I appreciate the two perspectives. I'm noting them down, and we'll consider how to. A related question is geography. Should it just be NCR based? Because most of us are the core members, or should we really pick up course seekers in any geography across the world and then let that seeker root this idea, and therefore that's how you get to size.
See, it goes back to the question of the institution. And I don't take me literally because I'm not empowered to speak for any institution, but only because we're sitting in audio. Imagine if such an event were taking place in Chinmaya Mission. And a mailing went to all Chinmaya Mission members. So you had the venue, which is a time-tested venue, equally convenient as this. You get a turnout of many more people. You get to market your idea across the whole Chinmaya network. Your pool of speakers will also increase. You are not running afoul of what the mission of Chinmaya Mission. You are not running afoul. You are taking an added approach to, alternative. That's why I asked Tony the question in the beginning. What is the core direction of this movement? And Tony said it is about alternative, integrative medicine. The Chinmaya Mission, Swami Chinmayananda didn't talk about integrative medicine. At the same time, because we're talking mind, body, soul kinds of relationships, it's as relevant to anything that's about life, an improvement of your being, which is mind, body, and soul. So there's no conflict, there's alignment. You get an institution, you get a platform, if they embrace you and accept you, of course. And there are 3 or 4 others, you mentioned Sadhguruji's name a few times. So that gives you immediately a leap into this whole sphere, and you stay focused on your core competency or your core area of focus. Don't get hassled with all the other things that they do. And then all these questions are answered. It's not small, medium, or large. It is what it is, and it's not Delhi. It's wherever their centers are, and wherever people are willing to hear you.
Understood.
But on your own, if you just take the format that you have right now and you ask the question, should it be NCR or other parts of India or other parts of the world, I just don't know physically how you're going to do it. How are you going to do it? How are you going to coordinate it? How are you going to communicate it? How are you going to manage the costs? How are you going to get the faculty? How are you going to get the viewership? It's just an exercise.
It's a huge bunch. For example, Tony's found somebody in Paris, for example, and you find a core seeker there. Similarly, go around Mumbai, Chennai, and you find core seekers, and then they go and that's one option.
Yeah, but my point is that I would like for Tony, who's given such a valuable part of his time, energy, life, and even monetary support, to be doing this for 10 years and then find that you have 200 people.
Got it.
Not one. I would like Tony to impact 20,000 people or 200,000.
Anybody who feels that we should restrict? Yeah, Radash.
No, I'm not talking about restrict or otherwise. I don't see a 0-1 situation. This is not binding.
You're saying a
Any
physiology?
institution, any purpose-led movement, etc., has to have an urge for growth, right? But just with the urge for growth, start walking. I mean, you don't have to define a mission statement which is of size, right? So just walk, aligned people come into the caravan, and like a plant, you just nurture it well, it will grow.
That's a different approach from what Rajit is saying.
Yeah, so what I'm thinking that size is important, size is critical. Alignments and other platforms are very important. But then that comes out of the impetus of growth. It is not, the alignments are, let's say, a pre-qualification to growth. You can't set growth and then say, therefore,
Obviously, understand. Yeah, so you got it.
One of the essential things for such a movement to succeed is the quality. You cannot sacrifice quality one bit or the other. I think Tony talked about the kind of, vetting that is done before people are put on, the credentials are verified. It's not going to be easy to do credential verification and not to start with. My belief is that this is going to be an evolutionary process, just like the cell multiplies into master. This will also multiply. But I think over a period of time, when people understand what is the real quality we talk about, what is the kind of value that we are delivering, that will then spread with the same amount of reach. The moment you do it, to start with a larger, likely there are a lot of commercial orientation would come in and therefore the quality will start suffering. My belief is that it should happen in large way. It should proliferate to the whole world at large, but it must take place in certain stages so that we don't suffer quality at any point of time. The fundamental beliefs are there, the core values are kept intact. That's I think very crucial for them.
As you can see, there are various pushes and pulls like in everything. And there is space for all perspectives in the world, so we take on board, yeah.
Well, maybe I'm a little late to the party here, but what I don't understand is what is the core objective of this meeting? Are we trying to spread knowledge, or are we trying to heal people? Now, if we're trying to spread knowledge, then the kind of scale and the kind of doing it's on a completely different definition. If we're trying to heal people, then as a non-medical person, it'd be very hard for a layman to just bombarded with knowledge from Google and various other institutes and then take an informed decision. I will need a platform of ears that I can go to. And if you look at it from that perspective, then the kind of growth you're talking about is very different. So the context of what the objective is a little...
So we answered the question in the morning. So I'm going to invite Tony to answer it again and your perspective on this.
Yeah. Let me come and explain something because we are not on the same information base. All of us have got different perceptions about what this is all about, and I think it's very important for you to clear it up. The core purpose of this institute is to get an integrated model of medicine. Okay?
It's a knowledge dissemination. It's all scattered right now. You know, people are beginning to figure out, yeah, things are possible. We can add 2 plus 2 to make it, 50 or 100 or whatever it is. So these are all these gems, rubies, everything lying all over the place, but nobody has brought them together, synthesized it, and said, okay, this is possible, this is not possible, this is the boundaries you have to respect. You can't, for example, when you're doing surgery, you can't be using homeopathic medicine as an anesthetic, right? So there are boundaries within which you have to operate. And yet, there are lots of things we can do, which are across the boundaries. So what we're trying to do, the first major purpose is bring this all together and then be able to put it in a manner that people can believe it, it's got the stamp of authority on it in terms of at least the intellect that's supporting it. You need 30 people around the world, in my opinion, or the Amrit Goswami labs comprising of physicists, comprising of doctors, spiritualists, all coming together saying, yes, we all believe this is done. Then the world will hear you. Yeah? That's the narrative going to hear you. So that process is on parallelly. Right? We had a meeting in Paris where some of you were there. More people are coming. Ekre is joining. Peter Farmer will join. So this whole shooting match will come together. It's a holistic group of people who say yes, this is the right way to go. This is what can be done. The world won't have a choice but to say, yeah, this is too big a powerful group to sort of deny. So that's the first piece. So once that gets done, then people begin to practice it. Yeah, we will have in our community people who will absorb that knowledge and begin to practice it. And some of them already got a first mover advantage. People like Steve already got a first mover, right? So that is how the value proposition will get spread out. This is the seed bank, if I might call it like that, of people who will then start practicing it and accepting it. Because acceptance was also happening. You need patience with the doctors to work together. So that seed will begin to happen here. And there, Rajit is right, that we don't want all this valuable stuff only to be limited to India or to Delhi or stuff like that. And therefore, the Vipassana model comes into mind, which is that just the way we have set up Igatpuri here, right, the other centers will happen everywhere else in the world, and we will, through this mechanism, make the value proposition relevant and distributed. Some of it we manufacture ourselves, like this piece that I just told you about, integrated medicine model. Some pieces we'll buy out from Joe Dispenza, from innovative medicine. Buy out means bring them to the table and put them through our distribution capability. Distribution capability could be the Chenmaya mission. It could be Sadhguru Vasudev, who's also very mentally ready for this. We have probably meeting in Paris in October, and so on and so forth. So a lot of stuff will happen in terms of distribution. Yeah, and we will distribute whoever is willing to listen to us. I'll give you an example. That I went to the Ramakrishna mission in Paris, and that's probably where we hold the session. You've been there, thanks to you, I got to know that. Yeah. So I remember, they've already, host decided to, allow us to come there and do it. I was amazed to find out the size and scale of hospitals they run themselves. And we haven't touched that. Sadhguru himself takes aspirin when he gets a headache, which I would like to get him off. Yeah. And so he runs a huge medical capability, which is totally oblivious to this. He's running the allopathic system, right? So there's an opportunity for him to operate. And I'm going to have that discussion with him and I get to him. So we will use distribution wherever we can, where this knowledge is, And we're inviting those people to come. At the next meeting, we're inviting the Navakrishna Mission people to come, some people, chief doctor to come, the Tibetan system, medicine system, we have a place on the round table in the sixth. So all this will happen. So I'm saying yes, so there's something that we do ourselves, what I call direct manufacture. There's something that we will assemble and make available, the best of breed. Best of breed, to add to the others. And thirdly, I think absolutely right, and some of you already mentioned that once you have this gem, in the interest of humanity, we're going to distribute it as widely as people are willing to accept. So that's it.
Got it. Understood.
And this community, this community is, the only reason they're saying they're limited to bandwidth because, they need to know each other. If we can't even meet and talk to each other and learn personal relationships, then what's the point? It's not a community then. It's becomes a business. So that's why we want to keep the community to a level that everybody knows each other. And people that form different communities, that's why if people in Bombay are not going to come to Delhi to your function, the Bombay community come up. That's the partner, what that we have. But to some kind of consistency in terms of cooperation.
So our purpose today is to develop perspective and not make a decision. So we're listening and we'll make a decision later. The next question really is of privacy. So all members who sign up, should their profile be available to all members? Should it be open? Can we read the profiles? Or should it be restricted? Yes, open, everybody? Open, got it. Future events. A lot of debate went on to do on a Sunday, Saturday, Monday, various, perspectives again. So in terms of frequency of events, such events should proliferate this movement. Should be done monthly, biannually, weekly. What is your preference? 4 times a year? Quarter? Who said a quarter? Anybody said monthly? Okay, only 2 a year, really big ones is also an option. Understand. Sunday versus weekdays. Sundays? Saturday also works, right? 2 day event, 1 day very crisp, packed event. 1 day. Got it. Thank you. The last thing is really suggestion. As you know, all of us are learning. Even I don't know how the community is run. I'm also learning along with Tony. If you can just take the time out, look at some chits available outside, leave suggestions saying how should this become a great community. Give us your suggestions and we'll try to incorporate them in our working as we move forward. So with that, lunch is open.
Mike.
We have so many hospitals and so many of our doctors are there. Actually, what I feel, if I talk about my hospital where I come from, I think except me, nobody else knows about it. And there are many doctors who might be interested. And it is very, very important that first what we have with us in our Max family, why don't we actually teach them this integrative medicine? Like a very small thing which I want to say, probably when I understood this mind psychology thing, I took it and I tried to do it on my own at a personal level. And then when I understand as a gynecologist that you have something like a birth psychology educator you can become. You don't need to be a gynecologist to become that, but if you have, then I have the medical experience and I also have the integrative part of that medicine with me if I do that little course. So there might be many more like me who are on their journeys in their different fields, and this is the way which I think this integrative medicine will go, because what we have in our Max family first, those physicians, those clinicians, we can actually take them to that level. They do the best because they work there with that passion. So created from somewhere outside, we need them because we have to nurture what we have within ourselves. This is what I feel.
So our approach has been so far to look at sequence within the system. The last thing we want to do is use hierarchy or sometimes to people saying please come and attend. That's the right thing to do. So through some meeting and people like you, we're trying to identify people who are seekers and slowly we get them in the fold. We don't want to do any, circular from my desk saying please come and attend, wrong thing to do. So that's our approach. So if we can find a a few more people yourself, please help us know, we'll invite them.
There's a really nice book, there's a nice book. Tony probably has been in large organizations over the years and might find himself in a peculiar situation of being in a lean startup, which is what he is right now. But I think that would be a resource to think about in terms of how these decisions are approached. It's much more shorter and a lot more clear and continuously experimenting and trying and see what happens if you try a particular way to take feedback like you're taking it right now and
Absolutely. Thank you for that resource. Thank you.